The real kicker is the fact that it was up 20% on Thursday as well. So this 16.5% odd move on CM India, SEM India as we call it earlier, ITD cementation. This one also flying away in trade, and there are some other big movers as well. Let me talk a little bit with regard to fundamentals, and let me bring on board Sunil Subramanian to help us dissect just fundamentals, and let me bring on board Sunil Subramanian to help us dissect just that. Sunil, great having you. Infra as a play, are you bullish at this point?
Yeah, of course, because I think that whatever you see in terms of the government capex or the revival, because in auto especially, the capacity utilization, the increase, the EV related capex, I see the private sector capex cycle starting to build up, and the data center thing, which is also a big trigger. So I think overall the infra play, I think, is not yet in a stage where it's been fully discovered. So from a medium term perspective, I would say that it's one of the best places to do that, because immediately in the short run, while consumption and all the others will do well, ultimately this is going to lead to a need for capacities to increase in the country. And so I would say that, in fact, the other thing was also the trade deals being signed, because all of them are going to ultimately result in Indian exports, new manufacturing facilities needing to be set up either through the PLI scheme or otherwise. So I think, yes, infra is a good, I would say, medium-term investment bet at this time.
Okay, so that's your take on infra. Mr. Subramaniam, hi, good afternoon. This is Snehi also joining in. Now, I understand that this is anybody's guess right now, given everything that's happening geopolitically. Every day there is a new news coming in, rather in terms of a peace deal being passed on, talks are being brokered. But we're not seeing that kind of jump or a spike that we were seeing in crude earlier on, let's say about 2 weeks ago. In your opinion, do you believe the markets have priced in the kind of volatility that we have been seeing for the last couple of months? Or do you believe that the market still has some room to absorb some shocks? What's your take on that?
So I would say if you take the three major players, right, there's FIIs, there's DIIs, and then there's the large retail public, which is also heavily invested in the stock market. So I think that the three players are three different approaches. I think FIIs are still nervous about the impact of crude on inflation, fiscal deficit, currency, EPSs of influence companies, and the lot. So I think till this uncertainty, I don't think they have fully factored in $109 Brent crude sustaining for a reasonably long period of time. So they will still be cautious. The Indian retailer, on the other hand, especially after the March correction, has in the month of April, if you see, the small caps and the mid caps and the micro cap indices are doing much better than the larger cap. So clearly, the broad retail investor in India feels that the market has absorbed it, that it can't get much worse from here. On some days when it goes like last week, midday, it went to 126 in the middle. There is a bit of panic, but otherwise, I think there's a growing feeling within the country that the impact of the oil, and that's also because the government has not allowed the petrol, diesel prices to impact the public. So they're not feeling the heat of the war that much. So I think there definitely they do feel this. Now on the DIIs, they are probably somewhere in between, because they are looking at it more from a bottom-up, company-specific, sector-specific, where they actually do the number crunching. And so they are actually factoring in saying, if oil remains at, let's say, 110 for another month, that is, the war doesn't end, or if it spikes to 120, what are the scenarios under which to play, and based on which they are making careful choices. So you see, first week of April, there were heavy buyers, DIIs. Next 2 weeks, they actually went off the table. I saw that the whole of 2 weeks, hardly total of 100 crores net purchases were there by DIIs. Now from last week, they've started buying again, because clarity around the earnings season, where they are trying to study the impact of the war and its future. So I think that we have a three mixed set of players. So if you then summarize it, for the market to really go higher, we do need FIIs to believe that the correction or whatever little bit of it that's taken place is good enough, or the war has got to end. The retailers, like I said, believe that it's now the worst is over. They're all averaging their portfolios. But the DIIs will now gradually support by either doing sector rotation out of those sectors they don't feel have got a good guidance, and they will be picky and choosy. There will be a lot of sector rotation. So you may not see the index going up, but definitely based on their picks, certain sectors could rally up the chain. So they will then prevent any huge fall in the market from occurring, because the point of the matter is if the FIs come in and heavily sell on a day when oil spikes, the DIs will stand in and support. And that's what the past track record also tells us during the course of the war. So I think essentially then to draw a conclusion from what I'm saying, it's going to be a very nervous consolidating market where the broader market will get supported by domestic investors, but the larger cap and the larger mid cap are probably going to face a lot of pressure from continued FI selling, though a large correction will be prevented by DIs coming and buying something which has corrected a lot. So with a slightly negative bias because of the FI overhang, but as soon as the war gets over or you see signs of that ending, you will see that there will be a real big pickup because FIs, step one, they will stop selling. Step two, they'll start buying.
Mr. Subramaniam, thanks for that. Let's hold that thought for a bit. We have my colleague Prakash who's joining us from the ground. The BJP is, of course, on course to set history in West Bengal, leading in early trends and putting Mamta's TMC on the back foot. After 15 years in power, the BJP-led NDA is also heading towards a strong win on Assam and Puducherry. In Kerala, the UDF has surged ahead with leads in over 100 states, while the ruling LDF trails significantly. Meanwhile, in Tamil Nadu, actor Vijay's TVK has taken a surprise lead, emerging as the single largest party in early trends. Prakash is joining us from the BJP headquarters, where the mood is naturally celebratory in New Delhi. Prakash, take us through what the mood is right now on ground in Delhi.
Well, BJP is heading towards a resounding victory in West Bengal, securing more than 119 seats. Remember, I mean, it's really surprising for many. In fact, the party, that had no presence 10 years ago, is now all set to form a government in the state. It's a very significant political development at this point in time. We are at BJP headquarters, you can clearly see the area has been cordoned off by Delhi police. In fact, supporters have started coming in. A few minutes back, the supporters were celebrating with Dhol Nagare. We have already, played these visuals for our viewers. Now we are learning that the Prime Minister is expected to arrive here at 6 p.m. To extend, his gratitude to his supporters and, of course, Karyakartas. Along with that, senior BJP leaders are already here. In fact, they are monitoring the situation and giving necessary instructions for preparation before the Prime Minister comes. Along with that, from early trend, the BJP has maintained its lead in West Bengal, and now we are towards the end, and it's clear that the BJP will be securing huge victory in West Bengal. So for the first time, BJP is going to form a government in West Bengal. A party which had no presence 10 years ago is now going to form the government in just 10 years' time. So it's a very significant political, very significant development, and that will have a significant political impact as well in the state. Let's see how it pans out. All eyes are on West Bengal, who will be the next chief minister. But at this point in time, it's a big setback for Mamata Banerjee, a mega victory for BJP. Supporters have already arrived here. They have started celebrations, and now we are learning that the Prime Minister will arrive around 6 p.m. And he will address supporters, Karyakarta, BJP Karyakarta, and extend his gratitude. Back to you.
Prakash, thanks so much for taking us through the mood in New Delhi right now. Of course, on ground, Prakash was outside the BJP headquarters, where the mood is, of course, cheerful and celebratory. But let's bring you more live coverage from the ground from Tamil Nadu now. We have Jude, who's joining us from the ground in Chennai. Jude, what is the mood like over there? One-way landslide victory coming in for Vijay. Tell us how the city is reacting to this at the moment.
Well, not a landslide just as yet, because remember, Vijay does not quite have the numbers yet to cross that magic majority mark of 118. Even as we speak, the TVK is cruising between that 105 to 110 seat mark. So perhaps as the evening continues, we'll know whether the TVK has secured that absolute majority of 118. but still a stellar performance, no doubt, because like Prakash was mentioning there, the BJP pretty much had no presence on the ground in West Bengal merely 10 years ago, and the TVK wasn't even a party 2 years ago in Tamil Nadu and Chennai. So by that scale, the fact that a newbie party, the new kid on the block, a debutant party, is scoring 110 seats, unseating both Dravidian majors in the DMK and the AIA-DMK with their alliance partners in the Congress and the BJP is no doubt a huge deal as far as elections in Tamil Nadu are concerned. Remember, it's also for the first time in 60 long years that the state will have neither a DMK nor an AIA-DMK government, all set to form the government after an election, which is no doubt a huge mandate that Tamil Nadu has given to the TVK itself. So winds of change are blowing in Tamil Nadu, one might say, even as Vijay will now stake claim to form the next government. Now, how will he do that? The fact is, even if there is a delta of about 5 to 10 seats that he will require to form the majority, there is talk that smaller parties in the state who may have allied with either the DMK or the AIA-DMK could well break ranks and side with Vijay to ensure that the actor gets the few seats that he needs to actually go about forming the government. The nitty-gritties of how that works and how that pans out, we'll see as the evening and perhaps the next day progresses. But for the moment, TVK emerging as the single largest party in Tamil Nadu and the new kid on the block to do precisely that.
All right, Jude, thank you for that. Of course, that clarity coming through from Jude as well as Prakash. Thank you, both of you, for giving us that perspective with regard to everything that's playing out in all of the state elections in terms of results. Big day, of course. Nifty not really reacting. Sunil, are you puzzled about that? You know, a lot of clarity with regard to both West Bengal as well as Tamil Nadu, as well as Kerala, of course, but those two in particular, and yet no real reaction on the street. It's like a semi-final of sorts.
I don't think that this was that important, because for the BJP party it's important, but for the nation as such, it's still not the Hindi heartland. I will say that the Hindi heartland is what drives it. So of course, now from east to west, BJP is in power, from the Gujarat to Bengal. So it is a positive, no doubt, because Bengal has been one state which has suffered from a lack of industrialization, because both when the communists were in power and this was in power, I don't think industrialists have really felt welcome there. So I would say that a big, huge positive for the country would be the level of industrialization which Bengal can participate in. And that will lead to Bengal's GDP growth growing, and naturally that will help the country's GDP growth. So I think to that extent, economically, I would say it's a positive to, as they call the double engine sarkar, right? To have a unanimity of thought, consonance in thought between the center and the state, which was, Mamata was always at loggerheads with the state on any good initiative or otherwise. There's always a opposite. So to that extent, it's a relief. But the market itself, right, I think today has far greater things on its mind, right? We are right in the bank in the middle of earnings season, we're the bank in the middle of a war, and we are the bank in the middle of FIS, still not taking the pedal out of selling in India. So it has got lot further greater things to worry about. Yes, if the BJP had not clicked in Assam, where it was an incumbent, and couldn't make a breakthrough, market might have taken that negatively. But otherwise, I think also the opinion polls a few days ago kind of set the tone in these two states, right? There was an indication that this might happen. So probably the market was also not extremely surprised by the news. But like I said, ultimately, this is not something that really investor should be looking at, right? This is just, okay, is the BJP, does it improve the chances of BJP trying to win the 2029 elections? Yes. But I don't think ever that was in doubt, right? Because after the last election itself, they didn't do as well as expected, the parliamentary, they have won a whole lot of states in a very sweeping manner. So I think by and large, it's just a reinforcement of the fact that the people of the country broadly seem to be in sync with this government, the way it's handled various situations. And so that, I guess, is good for economic policy as well as markets for continuity. So it's a good development, but to expect the market to react and to jump up 1,000 points, I think was unfair.
Absolutely. Mr. Subramaniam, that makes a lot of sense. If not 1,000 points, we've at least seen a 100-point jump coming in on the Nifty today. And at this point, any uptick like this is also far welcome. So thanks for putting that into perspective. But we only have a couple of minutes left for closing. Ruchit, very quickly, give us a sense of what to expect from tomorrow's trading sessions. Any sectors, any outperformance seen?
Well, the markets might continue its up move. I think EMS is one space which short-term traders can look after, where stocks like Sirma has been continuing its uptrend with a good price volume action. Dixon Tech has formed a good support base around 9,800, 10,000. So price-wise downside seems to be limited from here on as well. I think one can focus on EMS space for very short-term trading.
Okay, and very quickly, Ruchit, also keen to know what next with regard to a Dr. Lal, 14% uptake of BHEL, for example, some of the big movers in broader markets. Any view with regard to either of these?
So Dr. Lal Patel, today the stock has gone up, but the follow-up move would be very important. But yes, BHEL has been a consistent outperformer. Since last 20 trading sessions, we have not seen any kind of no negativity in the stock. So I think that is where clear outperformance lies. So we can see a continuation of the uptrend in BHEL. For Lal Patel, I'll wait for the follow-up move for know what happens tomorrow.
Ruchit, what's the take with regard to an Adani Ports? That's also been one of those movers which has steadily crept up, but the 5% move today looks extremely impressive.
Yes, indeed. Not only ports, but many stocks from the Adani Group. We have seen a good performance in this leg of up move since the start of April. So this is just a sign of a continuation of the uptrend in stock like Adani Ports. The previous highs had already been taken out when the stock surpassed that 1550 mark. And good thing is the volumes getting supportive in this leg of up move, even at all-time highs. So at all-time highs, if you witness good price volume action, this clearly indicates that outperformance could continue going ahead. I think Adani Ports, if any traders are holding long positions, they should continue to ride the trend and not be in a hurry to book out positions here.
Okay, thanks for that quick take, Ruchit, as well as Mr. Subramaniam. We'll let you go. It's time to start winding down for the day.